Remember when Doctor Who was great? The good old days. Intelligent writing, great characters, actual British representation, values, masculinity, and morality? Don't worry, I'm struggling to remember too. I'm definitely more of a new age Whovian, as I've always been put off by the quality of the recordings in those early shows, but admittedly, I've never really given them a go. I have however watched all of the new Who from Eccleston onwards. The best moment probably being watching the 50th in my local cinema, which had a Dalek and several Doctor Who lookalikes. It was a great event, and unfortunately in hindsight, definitely the all-time high point of the series. What drew me in, outside of Billie Piper's performance as Rose, was the character of the Doctor. This was a man. A man who was a scientist, philosopher, British eccentric, and your 90-year-old granddad all rolled into one. But this guy was your 90-year-old granddad who had fought in World War II. He had seen shit. And not only that, but he was still sharp as a tack and far more dangerous than any man with a gun. And all he ever used was a screwdriver. When he turned on the 1,000-yard stare, when you pushed him past his limit, man, you knew about it. And the Time War was a stroke of genius. Any scrap of lore or explanation of what happened had me on the edge of my seat. I absolutely loved the dark side, this wound in the Doctor. But that was only one aspect of the Doctor. The other was a curious and hopeful, lonely alien, looking for a partner to right wrongs and combat evil throughout time and space. In terms of favourite episodes, it's been a while since I watched all of them all the way through, but Human Nature is definitely a great episode that shows the different elements of the Doctor, his restraint, his burden, and his wrath. The writing in that episode alone is like Shakespeare compared to 99% of the sci-fi we get today. This one wasn't written by RTD, but he did write the Master Trilogy, Utopia, The Sound of Drums, and The Last of the Time Lords, which are easily some of the best episodes in the show. So I had absolute faith he could do nothing wrong, right up until he left. Moffat didn't do too badly, but my complaint with him in Who is the same as Sherlock. He can write some great hooks and ideas, but he seems to really struggle converting them into satisfying, coherent through lines and conclusions. And for me, he really didn't get it right outside of the 50th anniversary stuff. And even then, undoing the Time War was definitely an overall kind of narrative mistake. After a mixed bag with Capaldi, we then got these two clowns, Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall. And I know you know it, but I'll say it anyway. The absolute insult and lore assassination of the utterly stupid, timeless child. Thankfully for me, I noped out well before this, as I really didn't like Jodie's Doctor and the way the show was headed. And well, apparently the show was rightly headed for cancellation. Or not. In the 11th hour, a saviour arrives. RTD is back, baby, the OG, and with no less than David Tennant. Dare I hope.
It is your destiny.
We had long conversations about bringing Davros back because he's a fantastic character. Time and society and culture and taste has moved on, and there's a problem with the Davros of old in that he's a wheelchair user who is evil. And I had problems with that, and a lot of us on the production team had problems with that, of associating disability with evil.
Fuck. Guess not. C'est la vie. All hope that the show would return to even 50% of its former glory died the second I saw that insightful piece of insanity. But even then, I was not prepared for how far the show would fall. First, we get the horrible specials, full of absolute cringe moments from Russell and Ncuti. And after that, it wasn't long before we started to see the now classic Disney tactics of fan baiting and attacks. Everyone's homophobic, racist. Yawn. These two guys are making Doctor Who into a cringe-fest comedy. And following in the footsteps of such greats as Rachel Zegler, the dwarf of colour woman from Rings of Power, Ncuti in recent weeks has given some pretty frank and honest interviews. The mask really slips here. We get to see his very bigoted and narcissistic views. Or we get to see how monumentally stupid he is in parroting other people's messages without pause for thought. Ncuti, I hate to break this to you, but you do need to be exceptional. It's nothing to do with the colour of your skin and everything to do with you being given a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to become the Doctor. A role held by only 14 individuals since 1963. You are the person who has been given the job of trying to continue the show's legacy, to continue the show for the next generation, a bona fide piece of British culture and history to grow, cherish and protect. Only you haven't, can't, and won't. You and Russell seem to have gone on some kind of agenda bender, where the show is no longer about the eccentric Time Lord and his adventures through time and space, and all about messaging, child indoctrination, and your own personal politics and sexuality. This is not Doctor Who. It's Disney's Doctor Who, or rather Disney's Nurse Watt, as Marla coined. I'd be upset, but the show's already self-destructed almost a decade ago. I view this now as some kind of weird parody with no morality, devoid of British values and culture. And apparently it's not made for me anyway. I guess the clue was the Doctor not acting like a Love Island contestant and trying to bang any woman with a pulse. Whatever. What happened to market research and marketing? This is not how audiences of actual people work, and it never has. Ncuti, it's clear as day that you probably never watched a single episode of Doctor Who until you got the role, and if you did, it doesn't show. Your present character is basically just Dr. Ncuti. Yes, the Doctor can be fun, even silly at times, but he's also the smartest man in the room, a man who's seen the worst things in the galaxy and chosen hope over despair. This role is beyond you. You might have had a chance with a better writer, and if you were humble enough to ask the fans to trust you and give you a chance, instead, you told them to touch grass. RTD, you were definitely the GOAT when you brought this thing back from the freezer, but now you can't even rip off your own scenes competently. A great saying you remind me of is, you either die the hero or live long enough to become the villain. You epitomise this. You have destroyed your legacy and probably Doctor Who along with it. Though I suppose a man as arrogant as yourself probably thinks it's theirs right, since you brought the show back. What do we have to do to get some intelligent and well-written sci-fi? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments, and also if for some horrible reason any of you want me to do a full season review. RIP Doctor Who, and good riddance. Anyway, I can't be arsed wasting any more time on this shit. I'm going to watch Babylon 5. F*** Erebus.
Henry, get away from him.
Them.
What?
Me.
What?
I'm them.
You're who?
You're who?